Hey guys, Sandy here, and as you can see, I obviously forgot to film an intro to this video. So here I am. I've pulled out some white cardstock and also some Liquitex inks. And what I am doing is just watering them down, and I'm also kind of adding a little bit of white with this white gelato. And I'm just kind of splashing this all over the page. And I'm going for this blue, green, kind of like sparkly feel. And that is because the pictures I'm scrapbooking are actually from It's a Small World in Disney World. And if you've ever written It's a Small World, you know at the very end, you get towards the very end of the boat ride, you get to the part where everything is kind of like blue and sparkly and glittery, and all the kids from all the countries of the world are still in their traditional dress, but they're all blue and teal and sparkly and glittery. So that is how I was going for this page. Like, this is what my intention was to have that little bit of that blue sparkly feel throughout my page. And there was a little like sliver of something on there, and that's what I did with those scissors, was just pull that off. So I'm just checking this out, and I'm liking the way it looks. And you had a quick sneak peek of those flowers that I cut out from that One Canoe 2 paper, and that did come in the kit, the Citrus Twist kit. And I had cut off part of that paper and used the B side, and then I knew that I wanted to use those flowers at the end because they reminded me of the flowers and the signs at the end of It's a Small World. Now I went and got some of this shimmery texture paste from Heidi Swapp, and I pulled out this stencil, and it's a cheap stencil. Like, I got it at Michael's or Joann's or one of those places, and it's a cheap flimsy stencil. And I'm just going to lay it on top of the page, and then I'm going to use some washi tape to tape it down. And I decided to grab my paint palette here and just put it down on top of this because I knew that I was going to be going off the page with this, and I was going to make a mess. Now, I couldn't find my palette knife, and I still haven't found it. I know I used it recently on a layout. I just don't know what happened to it. It usually lives in a little, like a little paint bucket over on my one table, but it's not there, so I'm not sure where it is. So no problems. I just decided to use an old Disney gift card, and I applied the this glimmery texture paste type stuff right on top of the gift card, and I thought I'd use like a popsicle stick to spread it out, and I think I only did that for the first time. After that, I just, put it right on the gift card and then slapped it around the page. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking maybe I should have done this as my first step and put my color on top of it, but I decide in the end that I'm okay with it, and I'm not going to put more color on top of it because I like the amount of white that's showing through from my background paper, and I like the amount of color that's showing through from the color that I placed on it. And those are both Liquitex Acrylic Inks in the little jars. I don't use those very much on my scrapbooking pages. I do use them on my art journal pages, and I use my art journal as basically like a diary, and I scrapbook about things that I'm feeling, or because it's essentially a scrapbook in my art journal. Things that I'm feeling, or moments I'm proud of, or just things like that. But I tried sharing an art journal layout on my YouTube channel here, and I wasn't in love with the actual page, and I wasn't in love with sharing it, and I just think it was a hot mess. So I decided not to do that anymore. Now here what I did, I just did not wait for this to dry and slap this stencil down. And there are places where the shimmery texture paste has gone underneath of the stencil, and when you pick it up, it looks like somebody finger painted. But you know what? Like I said, I'm okay with it because I'm covering up a large portion of this. Like, it's not just going to be this and some like tiny little picture where the background is standing out, because the background isn't like the main focus. It's just there to give you that feeling. And I like look at it and I like it and I'm just like, okay, so we'll just like turn it around a little bit and then I can cover up most of that part where it like sludged underneath of the stencil. But I do decide to add just a little bit more, like just a little bit more right here. And I'm just smooshing that in. And then I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to go clean up. And then I forget to turn back on. I forget to hit record again when I come back. So some of these flowers have already been placed on the paper. And here they are. And these are all just cut out from that One Canoe 2 paper. And like I'm okay with that. And I'm layering some of them up. And I decide that I want, you know, a little bit of dimension because there's dimension in the background with the different layers. So I figure I should add some dimension in the foreground with the different layers. And I'm just trying to figure out, you know, where exactly I want that dimension to go. And then I have one more of these little leaves and I've got this big space. So I just decide to tuck a little bit behind the photo. And this little piece I had pulled off or cut off because I didn't think it needed to be there. But I do like bringing it up here next to the photo. And it does take me a minute to get it placed because I don't want that stem to just be kind of sticking out where you're like, where did that stem come from? So we get that on there. And then I decide to cut this little leaf. And I gotta say that these leaves look like weeds to me. Like they look like dandelion leaves. And I had this one left that I had not fussy cut. So I went ahead and hurry up and I fussy cutted that one. And guys, I gotta say, fussy cutting is not my favorite thing. Like, I know that there are people that just love to sit down and cut out, you know, the pretty florals, and they see a paper and their eyes light up and they're like, I'm gonna fussy cut that. And me, I'm just like, ugh, I gotta fussy cut that. Like, it took me, I sat down twice. I had a little bit of time before I had to go to work one day, so I just decided to start fussy cutting, and then when I started scrapbooking this layout, I had to finish the fussy cutting. And I just don't love it. Like, I use a mixture of scissors. I use my regular Fisker scissors, and I also use my little Cutter Bee scissors to do it, but it's just not my favorite. Like, it's not something I'm like, hooray, fussy cutting. Now, the two photos, one is a photo of the outside of It's a Small World, and one is a photo at the end where it says goodbye in all the different languages, and it has our names on it. And they do that, Disney does that with the magic bands because your name is associated with your magic band. And there are various places throughout the parks where it pops up. Like when you place your magic band against the turnstile to go into a ride, it pops up your first name. And it's really cool because sometimes the cast members are like, have a great ride, Sandy. Like, it's a lot of fun. Now for this one, I just popped it up on some foam. And this is just cheap craft foam that I bought at Michael's. And it's not a thick foam. Like, it's not super thick. It's just gives it a little pop of dimension. And I get that down, and I'm happy with it. And I'm looking at this, and this is like, it's evoking that feeling for me. It's evoking that feeling at the end of It's a Small World where everything is blue and sparkly and pretty, and everybody's like happy together, and like I am getting that feeling from this layout. Now for these guys right here, I took part of that leaf underneath. And then I'm going to tuck this little top part of the leaf out from underneath the photo, I believe. And I'm just, what am I doing? Oh, I popped this up a little bit. There were just little places that I wanted to add just a little bit of extra dimension. And I'm sitting there, like the song is going through my head, I'm getting the feeling, and I'm like, yes, this is totally evoking that emotional response that I want, and I'm like pleased as punch with the page, and I'm realizing that I really don't have room for journaling. Like, this page is definitely just not going to have journaling on it. And I wanted to, like, put out the fact that, that had sparkles on it. So I went and I pulled out some sequins from my sequin box, and these are from David Cetera from a wedding collection sheet, and it's old, like it's super old. And they're kind of big gemstones, and I haven't really used them, but they fit perfectly on these flowers. And as soon as I put them on there, like I'm getting more of that Disney feeling. I'm super happy with it. Like the song is really running through my head. I'm probably singing it out loud at this moment, and I'm just like, yes, like this is turning out pretty good. But at this point, I realize I need a title. So I do go into my kit and I pull out these Glitter Girl word thickers, and I'm trying to figure out which word I want to use and where I want to put it. And I decide to go with cheer, because like it's a cheery feeling, you know? I got that going on. I got this cheery feeling going on. And I was thinking about putting it over there to the left, and then I decided, no, I'm going to put it right here up at the top of this photo. And I'm just going to arrange it, and I'm like, yay, it's glittery and it's beautiful, and it's totally working with that whole vibe that I've got going on here. And I layer that flower right over top of that R that dips down. And I go to my stash and I grab some October Afternoon mini markets, and I'm just going to add in Small World. So Small World Cheer is the title. And there it is. Like that's it. Like I don't need to explain like what the ride was. I mean, you see a picture of the outside of the ride that says it's a small world. So I really didn't even have to repeat Small World, but I liked that title idea of Small World Cheer. It made me happy. And at this point, I'm thinking I'm finished. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty finished. Like it's sparkly, and here I am. I'm thinking, and then I'm like, nope. You know what? This needs more glitter. So I grab my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I don't glitter every part of the flowers. I'm like alternating and figuring out exactly where I want the glitter. And at first I'm thinking I'm just going to glitter on the flowers, but then I decide to glitter part of the green leaves as well. And I end up glittering, I believe it's the darker side. And that little bit of extra sparkle from the Spectrum Noir glimmer pens here just made it. Like I totally felt like this reminded me of A Small World at the end. And I showed my husband, and he was like, yeah, totally. I even texted a picture to my son, and he was like, yeah, Mom, that's right on. So that was exciting. I was thinking about adding some white splatter, but I decided that I did not need that. And then here you can see some of the sparkles, and then you'll see some of the sparkle on the still at the end. So thanks for coming along with me, guys, and I'll see you next time.